Hey, how you doing today? My name is Relyea and thank you so much for stopping by. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's, believe it or not, Hollow Knight. You guessed it, yes. Hollow Knight, I love talking about it, and specifically, I want to talk today about a comment that I've been getting fairly regularly, and I don't know if it's just more people are picking up the game or what. I've seen a lot of people saying that Hollow Knight is too difficult. And part of me wants to say, hey, get good, noob, or hey, that's what I'm here for. Let me help you. Let me help you. It is difficult, but it's supposed to be. So first off, if you are in the camp where Hollow Knight is too difficult and you don't like it because you think it's too difficult, I just want to start off by saying that's okay. Not every game is meant for every gamer. Not every gamer should be into racing games or shooting games or Metroidvania games, platformers, or super hard games. This is a game that is not easy. Some of the bosses are extremely difficult. I remember specifically, I spent well over a week practicing Absolute Radiance. That one boss fight over and over again, probably about an hour to 2 hours every night, just so then that way I could beat the 5th Pantheon. But we'll get into that in just a second. What I want to say is, if you think it's too difficult and the difficulty is not, it's so difficult that it's not fun for you anymore, that's okay. That's okay. And so be it. And we will part ways here. Agree to disagree. But if you just think that it's too difficult, period, and that the game should have an easy mode or something like that, I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that this game has the correct level of difficulty and it's exactly the way that it should be. And one of the reasons why I believe this is because you actually don't have to do some of the hardest stuff in the game in order to reach the max percentage completion, 112% completion. You don't have to beat the Absolute Radiance. You don't have to beat the 5th Pantheon. Heck, you don't even have to beat the game to get 112%, which I think that's mind-blowing. Most games require you to beat the game to get percentage completion. I'm just saying, I thought that's a little weird. So first things first, I believe that having a difficult game gives you a sense of accomplishment. Like, if you just ran through every single boss and all you had to do is explore your way through Hollow Knight and every boss you beat them on the first try, I feel like the game wouldn't be fun. There wouldn't be enough challenge, and the only time that platforming was actually difficult was maybe on your way into the City of Tears and then maybe the White Palace or the Path of Pain. You had a couple of difficult platforming parts. There's maybe 4 or 5 really difficult platforming parts in the entire game. It's really, I don't know, some people classify this as a platform, but I didn't find the platforming to be all that difficult when you compare it to something like Donkey Kong or something where the entire game is it's platforming. It's not that difficult. This game gets really difficult with the bosses and how you have to learn every single move on some of the bosses to be able to progress. I remember specifically being stuck on Hornet Sentinel, which is the second Hornet fight, which is a place where a lot of people have difficulty and they have to do that fight over and over and over and over again, and it feels like you're banging your head against a wall. But then once you do it, it feels so good. It's like it's such an accomplishment, and it just makes that boss fight just that much more memorable. You just get that sense of relief and just like you did it. And also, once you beat the boss, once you learn all the moves, it's not like you squeak by every time you beat the boss. You actually learn the moves of the boss, and then you own it. You have it. It's a good thing. I remember just recently I went back and played the Absolute Radiance, and it's muscle memory at this point. I mean I can get to the last phase on a single try, even though I haven't played that boss fight in like 2 months. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Like you own it, and it feels so good. This game gives you so much sense of accomplishment, and those boss fights are all memorable. Going back to like the Donkey Kong reference I made earlier, I think I remember the first Donkey Kong boss, which is like that little it wasn't a mouse, it was a beaver that kind of jumps around the map because it was the first boss. And then you remember the last boss, which is King K. Rool. But other than that, like, I don't remember a whole lot of those bosses. They weren't that difficult. You know what I mean? Like when you fight bosses, if they're not difficult and you just steamroll them, they're just not memorable. It's not fun. There is no sense of accomplishment. I mean, you might as well be playing like the Kirby Yarn Adventures or whatever that Kirby game is. When games are so easy, it's just like, what's the point? Games shouldn't be just about getting through them. You should get something out of it. Like there should be some sort of, like, I think it's fun when it's rewarding. And that's one of the reasons why I like PvP games, because when you crush another player, you get better, you level up, and then you crush other players. That's fun. Another thing that I really like about Hollow Knight bosses and just the difficulty of them is that they're not overly scripted. Like, all the bosses, they have specific moves and they come in, you have to learn how to dodge them and whatever else. And they're all varied and different, and that's all great. What I really love about the bosses is that none of them have like 3 swings and then you have to wait for a bright red glowing thing in your face that says, hit me right here, please, for the love of God. This is how you finish the game. This is how you beat this boss. If you don't know what I'm saying when I'm talking about bosses with bright orange hit markers, I'm talking about the original Star Fox game with Andross and his hands popping up and he's got the things on the palm of his hand. It's just like, hit me here. Or Zelda Twilight Princess, I think it was. One of the Zelda games where they got the spiders and they got the giant eye. It's just like, there's so many games where it's just like, shoot me here, hit me here. And it's just like, clearly that's how you beat the boss. It couldn't get any easier. I'm just happy that Hollow Knight gives you a lot of room to play, not only with not having like a one-time opening for how to defeat the boss, but also with the charm sets. You can play this game in so many different ways, whether you want to be like a nail attacker, a melee fighter, or if you want to go with a spell build, or if you want to go with something in between. There are so many different charm setups and loadouts that can work for you based on your playstyle. The game is difficult and you can play it the way you want to play it. Like, this game is so good. I can't get over it. Like, it's just good. It's good. Okay, so if I have any gripes at all when it comes to difficulty in Hollow Knight, it probably has to do with one thing. There was one person who brought up the fact that there are 2 endings in the game that only come up after you beat the 5th Pantheon. And the 5th Pantheon is no joke, which means that a lot of people are not ever going to see those endings on their own without watching a YouTube channel or watching somebody else do it. I was able to do it, but it took me a heck of a lot of time, and it's something that not everyone's going to want to do. I totally understand that. It was pretty difficult, but it's not required to fully complete the game at 112%. That's what I'm saying. Team Cherry was very good about making extra difficult challenges for those who want to keep playing the game and want to keep going further. And that's something that I stand behind. A lot of times you get to the end of a game and there's just nothing else to do. You can play Zelda Breath of the Wild till you're blue in the face, but eventually you get to a point where you're so overpowered that the game's just not difficult anymore. And then all you have to do is find 900 Korok seeds. Like, that's not fun. But with Hollow Knight, if you want to keep playing, you can keep going until you beat the 5th Pantheon, and it is difficult the whole way through. It's going to keep challenging you, and I think that's part of the fun. I think that the struggle and the challenge is kind of what, personally, it keeps me coming back, and it made me want to keep going. There's just too many games out there where it's just like, check the box and complete the game, get through it, and then it's just done. And I don't know if that has something to do with getting over it. I played that game, and it's true. There's not a people who can just embrace the struggle, embrace the challenge, and just be okay with it. Just live with that for a little bit. And I don't know, I think that's kind of like what Hollow Knight was, at least for me. Sometimes it got so difficult. With the Fifth Pantheon, I literally had to put it down. I didn't attempt it for like at least a month. I had to just put it away, do some other stuff, and I had to come back to be able to beat it. So I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? Did you think Hollow Knight was too difficult? Did you eventually quit? What bosses did you think had too much of a difficulty spike? I would really, really like to know. And other than that, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Again, my name is Relyea, and I will talk to you again more soon. Thanks.